Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Aries here. So, you guys, if you're watching this video, most likely you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, which is Big Doinb, and I haven't posted really anything in the past half year, and that's just because uh, FPX disbanded, like the championship team disbanded, and my videos were really just showcasing how the brotherhood of like Tian with Doinb, with LWX, with Crisp, how they have that bond, and like it's hard to replicate, or you see that in any other League of Legends team, right? So um it's been a minute since I posted anything, so I thought I'd get back on my channel, um just reintroduce you guys to LPL, and we're gonna get started with talking about the summer playoffs, which start tomorrow. And so the regular season for the summer split just ended. We're gonna take a look at who might advance into Worlds, this bracket, the current standings, and just a general guide if you're not really uh and just a general guide if you're not uh fully invested into the LPL, right? So this is just a great way for you to understand what the lead up to Worlds is going to look like from the Chinese region. So, starting tomorrow, we have this game right here, OMG versus FPX. These are the 8th and ninth seed of the split. This year, you have Summit from C9, who came to China this past split, and he's now on FPX, replacing Nuguri, replacing Xiaolaohu, because that guy plays like a fucking benched guy. And so Summit replaced him as a starter, and FPX is just doing much better. You have OMG as well. OMG is playing well with Shanji at the top. They're pretty consistent, but it's like a coin flip in terms of whether or not they'll win a game. So they were predicted to win like the last couple, but it just turns out like they weren't able to clutch, and so they were able to get BLG into the playoffs as well. Um, but the most critical game recently was this OMG versus V5. But that game, like, Carso got benched because of his contract, and so like it's really tough to say like the current form of OMG. So in terms of this decision right here, I'm gonna say FPX is gonna advance. OMG, unfortunately, I don't see them going past the first round tomorrow. Okay, game two, which is on Tuesday, we're gonna see LNG versus BLG. This is the team. This is Doinb's current team, and this is Crisp's current team right now. BLG not informed. They got a bunch of substitutes. They're changing up the roster. They got Doggo in the bot lane. They got Icon, which was the former LNG starter last year, and they got Bin, which is the guy that won with RNG at MSI, starting at the top. And then you got like Weiwei, which is like some pretty. He's just a decent jungler, but definitely not like tier one caliber. And so game two, Li Ning versus BLG. You got Doinb, you got Tarzan, you got Allah, which steams stellar from his performance on Saturday against Weibo Gaming, WBG. The way that he outperformed the Shy, crazy, crazy masterclass of his Olaf. And so I'm saying if LNG are really prepared, they do their homework well, it's an easy sweep BO5 against BLG. All right, so game two here, I'm gonna say LNG is gonna advance. If we take a look at how they performed, right? Like all FPX members advanced to the playoffs this summer split, but just taking a look at the way that BLG has been playing, uh, really the shocker was this game right here. Like no one expected them to win against OMG, but they did. They came in and they came prepared, and then they beat out. So that's what I'm saying with OMG. It's like a coin flip. It's a 50-50 toss. With LNG, really it's an all-star roster, right? You have Umad the bot or Iwandi, and then you have Light. This bot lane, as long as they don't feed, like they're just gonna be there in the team fight, and so they're nothing spectacular, but they're there. They show up when needed to. Um, what was really embarrassing was they lost to RA, right? But RA has been informed recently. It's unfortunate they're like the bottom team, but they beat out a couple big ones like Was it OMG as well? No, it was let's take a look at R right here. So R beat out some pretty big ones recently. Uh oh yeah, they lost to LGD, but they beat out what's his name? I guess not. So anyways, moving on with the summer playoffs. Then we got game 3, which is EDG. EDG really the way that they're playing, they're not really expected to make worlds at all this year. And that's just because like the way that the meta has shifted, and the way that their team is structured, they're not able to rely on each other in that peak form, you know? And a lot of people are saying like in terms of all the Chinese LPLs that won worlds, you have IG, you have FPX, and you have EDG. EDG is the only team to not clean sweep the finals, which is a best 3-0 their opponents. They went to a BO5 and then they clutched the final game. So really it's like just how good is EDG, right? Like they showed up last year and they made it. They won worlds, but just looking at their individual caliber this year, like they're not up to the same level as they were last year. So FPX is going in. I'm gonna say FPX is going in to EDG, but FPX is not going to compete against EDG on that same level. Like EDG is a tier, the bottom of the tier 1s, and FPX is like the middle of tier 2, close to tier 3 of a team. So here, if we take a look at what EDG has done, yeah, it looks like they've gone 11-5, but that's just because they've beat out like most of the bottom tier teams, but they haven't beat out the top ones. So you look here, they lost to Weibo, they lost to JDG, they lost to V5, they lost to TES, they lost to RNG. Right, the top teams like that are above you, you lost to every single one of them. So it's not like you're gonna be expected to win against them if you advance. Right. Game 4, WBG. We saw how Leaning clean sweeped WBG on Saturday. That really is like a game shocker because that's how they advanced to this playoffs. And so we've seen Leaning in good form. It's just whether or not they're able to be consistent with that. And that's really the struggle of this year's Leaning team, LNG team, which is that, you know, Doinb is kind of like off his peak already. He's climbing down that mountain slope. And so he's not in the best of his form. And then you have Allah who, I don't know, like recently he's been getting a lot of shade because he just throws games when he loses top, right? And he's not able to participate well into the team fights. But Saturday showed us that if they are a championship, gunning for a championship winning team, they are able to beat out a top team like Weibo Gaming, right? And we've seen Weibo Gaming here. Really, the understanding is that as long as you close out the shot, as long as you make sure the shot does not get an advantage early game, like the rest of WBG, they can't win. Right, the entire team depends on the shy to win. That is their Achilles heel. That's their kryptonite. That's something that every team is going to look to make sure that the shy doesn't get a clean early game. And so going into game 4, really it's like a toss-up, but I'm going for LNG. That's because I love all members from FPX. I really hope WBG loses this game 4. All right, moving on. Game 5 here. Taking a look at RNG here. So unfortunately RNG lost today, which is kind of weird because you would not expect them to lose against a team like LGD, but today really shows that like when nothing is on the line, like something like this game here, like RNG, doesn't matter whether they win or not. It's just that they don't make double eliminations as a guarantee, but they lost to LGD. LGD really had nothing to lose here, and they just played with their hearts out. So props to them, LGD. They played really well today. So really it gives you an idea of how RNG is like. They've been fairly consistent. We take a look here. They've beaten out like the top teams as well. RNG against Weibo. That was a close match. TS to RNG here, a 2-1. Another 2-1 against EDG. A 2-1 against JDG. in which they win. And so like against these top teams, it's like they play the BO3 to the fullest extent. And so really it's just about the macro and the BP. And if the BP isn't well, the game doesn't matter anyways, right? So that's it. Going into this though, unfortunately I don't see LWX carrying this game 3 here against EDG. And so I'm gonna say that EDG versus RNG. RNG is gonna win. Like no matter what. RNG's form with Gala, like that's nothing to undervalue here. So game 5 here, RNG against EDG. Really, like I'm saying 3-1 at like at best or at worst, but at best probably 3-0 against EDG. Looking at game 6 here, we got Shenzhen V5, which is team V5 here. This team is a little weird because Karsa has been benched for like 3 weeks now, and that's just because of his contract issues. We've seen that they like the moment Karsa got benched, they lost to OMG, but then they came back and they clutched 3 in a row, and against TS as well with the sub Shalom Ball, which is the sub for Karsa in the jungle. And it really shows that, I guess you don't actually need to have Karsa in the jungle to be capable of anything, so long as you have Rookie, right? And Rookie has really been gunning. He's been doing really well with Photic and PP God. This bot lane duo, so many pentakills this past summer split here. At least like 4, I think. And so this ADC is nothing to think less of, So V5 is a good team. They're coming in strong. I do think they'll beat out LNG though, just because like this team has been in top form. They've beaten out the top teams here fairly consistently. You take a look at who they've fought against. They beat out every single lower tier team. And then they beat out, for example, let's take a look here. They beat out RNG. They beat out, I guess they lost to EG here. And then they also lost to Weibo here. And they lost to JDG here. But then they came back finally and they beat out TS, right? Like, that doesn't show, if that doesn't show how much you want it, like, I got nothing else to say, right? But this is the 3rd and 4th. They don't get to make the W limbs, so they're gonna work, and they have the most time to prepare for whoever comes up in the matchup. Looking at game 7 here, so this is one of my favorites to look at, and this is also the first double elimination, which means that whoever loses, doesn't matter if you win or lose here, you're still gonna play this game right here, and then you're gonna still advance into the losers bracket and push towards the final. So this game right here, you have RNG versus TS, which is a tight game. These two are your spring finalists. So they played that BO5 where RNG clutched the last game, right? And it went 3-2. So this one right here, I feel like TS is gonna win. Although they lost to V5, but like that's also like a top tier team, right? And it just shows that they didn't expect they would come out this good, and ultimately like they just came in unprepared. But if they do their homework and they're in good form, nothing will stop them, right? TS, you have Jackie Love, championship AD, you have Tian, arguably the best jungler in the entire world right now, and you also have Wayward, which is a young guy. You have Knight, which is like the best mid laner in LPL right now, and then you have Mark, which provides really good support for Jackie Love and is a very wholesome team player. So TS right now, in terms of the vibe of the club, of the org, like they're very positive right now, and they're in a great place for them to push forward. So I'm looking at TS to win here. Again, they have the most time to prepare. Like, they're most likely going to prepare against RNG. Like, it doesn't matter who's coming up here in the gauntlet. So they have the most time to do their homework against RNG and prepare for this game. So TS most likely gonna win. Looking at game 8 over here, you have JDG versus whoever comes up, which is going to be, I'm saying V5. Um, Look, JDG with their coaching style really fits into the top laner 369's play style, helped him adapt, and then help JDG become this stellar team, right? And so they're also in a really good spot right now where they don't feel like they're gonna lose, and that confidence is gonna help them fight against whoever comes up in this lower bracket here, right? Against V5, JDG, honestly, I don't have that much to say just because I'm not personally a fan of this team. But for those that were like might be interested in JDG, like this team right here, let's take a look here. They came out gunning, right? They came out winning pretty much every single game for like I don't know how many straight, and then they lost to FPX right here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They went 6-0 and then lost to FPX. This is where FPX turned their summer split around when they realized they could beat out the top team. And then they've just been in form ever since then as well. Although they did lose to RNG, right? Another tier 1 team. Otherwise, they beat out every single one in the summer split here, including TS, which was their first match. But that's tough to say, right? Because TS first match of the summer split, it's like doesn't matter. It's not that important, right? It's not a winning factor. And then, so yeah, really like I would say JDG against V5. I would say JDG is gonna win, but I also think that V5, if they come in clutch with Rookie, like Rookie is nothing to underestimate in terms of his prowess and his ability to carry this team, right? So V5, most likely are gonna make it here, and so I'm hoping V5 is gonna win. Honestly, I don't really like JDG, and that's just my personal opinion. So if we're gonna look at this, game 10 right here is gonna be TS versus V5. But in terms of like that ability of both teams, TS tops V5 so easily, right? Just so easily. Like there's no way that they are going to lose at all. TS against V5. Now taking a look at game 9 right here, I forgot to mention this, which is the loser of game 7 and loser of game 8, which is this right here and this right here. And so I'm saying that RNG is going to lose and then JDG is going to lose. So they're going to come into this bracket right here. RNG versus JDG, honestly, it comes down to experience. And when it comes to playoffs, like RNG does not make that many mistakes. So I'm going to say RNG is going to win game 9 over here. Push on against game 11. Top Esports versus V5. Top's going to come out, go make it into the finals. Game 11 right here is going to be RNG versus V5, right? And RNG again, like I'm just expecting them to win just because they have that much more experience. You can choke when you enter playoffs for your first time, and a lot of these young guns right here in V5, like they've never had the chance to make it to this level of a team that can push for a championship, and they might choke. They might be extra nervous. Like you've seen Rich, like the running joke of Rich is whenever he fails, we call him poor, right? This guy loses top a lot. He's not that consistent, and he's not that great of a player overall to say that, you know, V5 is going to push it towards the final. So game 11 here, I'm seeing RNG winning against V5. 3-2 to say the least. But honestly, clean sweep 3-1, 3-0. That's also expected of them. So finals, we're going to see TS versus RNG. And it really, like, this comes down to who's going to represent the LPL going into Worlds, right? Like we've seen last year, EDG versus FPX. FPX came in really strong in the summer split, winning everything, came first overall, but they lost in the finals. A runner-up team of the LPL summer playoffs lost outside of the top 16 last year in Worlds. And that's crazy when you think about it. Like the confidence that it brings you, like the lack of confidence losing a final brings to your team, that's huge. Like, so it just shows how much more important this final is going to show that you beat out every single other team in the LPL, which is arguably the best region in the world right now. The second one is just LCK. And so when you take into consideration there, you go into Worlds, you have nothing to fear. You don't worry about the other teams from the other regions. You don't care about G2, who just made it into Worlds as the first team that made to Worlds 2022 this year. You don't care about LCS. You don't care about like the Turkish, the PCS regions, like the Pacific regions. You don't. Like, your only vision is who is going to fight against me in the finals of 2022 Worlds. And arguably, TS is going to be there. All right. So that is it for today's video, guys. 20 minutes. It's a bit long. I understand. I don't usually put out videos like this. So, all right. But 22 minutes. I'm going to cap it right here. And I'll see you guys in the next video. All right. Take care. Goodbye.